Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Put my hands on the Bible, y'all point me to the booth. Swear to tell the truth. What's going on, people? So this is the conversation that we knew we needed. You know how people say, the conversation I didn't know I needed. This is the conversation we knew we needed. We got two heavy hitters, D1 and Lecrae, two heavy hitters of CHH, excuse me for the people that don't know. That's Christian hip hop. D1 and Lecrae, who talk about righteous and ratchet. Now, a lot of y'all might ask, why is this important? How is this important? What does this have to do with anything? And the answer that I would give to that is in the face of black culture and or what it means to be black. This means absolutely everything, because we have so many voices competing and chiming in on what it means to be black and this, that, and the other thing. The bigger question is about this all is, what is the right voice? Who's saying the right thing right now? And I believe D1 came and gave some great clarity on this topic for us. But without further ado, let's tap in.
The Bible does not make room for ratchetness and righteousness. But black culture does, and hip hop culture does. It makes room to be ratchet and righteous. There's literally a popular, I saw Christians posting about that stuff. I'm righteous and ratchet. Man, well, forget y'all, we ain't on the same team, because I'm real righteous and relevant. You heard me? That's what I am. I'm not righteous and ratchet. Like, what are y'all talking about? But black culture, I'm not pro-black more than I'm pro-God. And I don't care what black people think. You know what I'm saying? Am I black? Am I proud to be black? Yes. But I'm not pro-black more than I'm pro-God, man. Because being pro-black will allow for a bunch of foolish, ratchet behavior that in the name of blackness, we all celebrated.
There's a little online debate about, can you be ratchet and righteous? And I thought, what a great time to address this as I'm on my walk through the suburban community, taking out my braids, where people probably like, oh, he ratchet, look at him, he ratchet. But that's okay, because that's an aspect of who I am. You know, ratchetness comes from disenfranchised communities. It's a part of the culture that we are raised in. And there's some aspects of it that are redeemable. Some aspects we got to let go. Maybe you talk loud in public. Maybe you got a mouth full of gold. Maybe you pat your hair. Those are not sinful qualities or things that you got to let go of. You know, screaming on your kids, cussing people out. Yeah, okay, we gotta let that go. Even God would say let that go. But you know, man, embrace, you know, what makes you you. And that's what makes you uniquely you. I wouldn't be rapping if it wasn't for some aspect of a ratchet culture. Hip hop was born in ratchetness, you know, and it's been redeemed. Happy 50th birthday, by the way, hip hop. So I would just say, man, let's not trash the community. Let's not tear down the community for some of the actions that don't fit the broader, you know, society, that they may be a little unorthodox. I'm sure they call Jesus Ratchet. You know, he came from Nazareth. They say, oh, this little country dude. But, you know, he didn't shy away from that. He was exactly who he was, and yet he was righteous. And so we embrace the ratchetness, you know.
They definitely didn't call Jesus Ratchet. Like, definitely didn't call Jesus Ratchet.
Our lowliness, our unorthodox, and we embrace the righteousness, growing in godliness.
Lecrae, brother, you gotta stop. You coming across real lukewarm right now. I recently posted a video where I said, as believers, we can't glorify being righteous and ratchet. And you wanted to insert yourself into the conversation. So you came behind me and posted a video saying that we need to keep some aspects of ratchetness and we need to do away with other aspects. Listen, bro, I know you. So I know you have a desire to fit in with the culture, but don't let that desire to fit in with the culture cause you to co-sign actions from the culture that are not of God. You heard me? Then you went on to say they were probably calling Jesus Ratchet. Brother, no, you don't know that. Like, you're making that up. You don't know if they were calling Jesus Ratchet. And even if they were, guess what? He wasn't calling himself Ratchet. You heard me? So we know that we're sinners and we know that we need God's grace, but that don't mean that we co-sign a lifestyle or a term. You said hip hop was birthed from a place of ratchetness. No, it wasn't birthed from a place of ratchetness, bro. Like, where are you getting this from? And then you replied to me in your comments. I told you you could call me or we could go on IG Live if you want. You replied to me in your comments, and your definition of ratchet that you gave, as like how you see it, was literally copy and pasted from Wikipedia. Wikipedia. Bro, you come across real suburban when you tell me that that's your definition of ratchet, bro. So all I'm saying is, as believers, we got to watch what we co-signing with our platform. You could call me. We could go on IG Live. Let me know. But be careful, man. Real talk.
Let's go ahead and clarify it up. Ratchet just means ghetto, but not the poor urban neighborhood area definition. Ratchet and ghetto in this sense refers to somewhat of an attitude. And so it's kind of like what the poor urban neighborhood area bursts out. But not all people that come from the ghetto are ratchet. We know it's plenty of families who was born and raised in these areas, but didn't act like the areas that they come from. We know that there are many examples out there like that, but the perfect example is Good Times, JJ. Because we heard plenty and many of times of JJ talking about the ghetto. You know how he say, talking about the ghetto, talking about if you pull up in a nice car, a lot of times you quick to get your tires took. But Michael, JJ, and Velma, they carried themselves with class. A lot of times because we know James and Florida wasn't going, but y'all remember the episode with Mad Dog.
JJ, something is here to see you.
Who's the fox?
She's my sister.
Hey, sweet thing, I'm Mad Dog. What's your name?
Thelma.
Thelma. Where you get a weird name like Thelma?
When I was born, my mama took one look at me and called me Thelma. Just like your mama took one look at you and called you Mad Dog.
At the end of the episode, when Mad Dog had to go to court for what happened, you remember his mama telling him, I hate you. I wish you were never born. His father wasn't in his life. That's a big part of this epidemic or this problem that we have to fatherlessness. But that's for another, that's for another subject. We talking about righteous and ratchet right now. But we also know that this isn't just limited to Black Americans either. We know that white people live in impoverished neighborhoods, and we know that's usually where the names hillbilly and the more derogatory terms, white trailer park trash, come from. But still, it's not referring to so much of the area, but of the attitude, the way that a person is acting. But the way that I see this, I see D1 really speaking from a spiritual perspective, and I see Lecrae coming more from a carnal perspective. I know at the end of the day, Lecrae will say it's a cultural perspective, but if it's not representing nor glorifying Christ, I don't care what it is. It's a carnal perspective. But let's be real though. We know that at the end of the day, it's not sinful to get gold fronts. It's not sinful to take your hair down in public. Shoot, it's not even sinful to sag. It's not sinful to wear bonnets, pajamas, and house shoes out in public. But the truth is, if somebody is doing this, chances are they not representing Christ. They don't have the Spirit of God living in them. And if they do, they're a baby in the faith, or they're in what I believe in Lecrae's situation, a lukewarm Christian, as D1. He said he's coming off as lukewarm, but I'll take it a step further to say is lukewarm and just trying to fit in with the culture. But I say that because there is no way that the Holy Spirit does not convict you to do better. Because usually what characterizes the attitude of ratchetness is I don't give up. And God, he does things decently and in order. And there is no way in the world that we're walking with Christ and he doesn't transform the things that's inside of our hearts. He teaches us to care. Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So there is no way that you can walk with Christ and he does not convict you to do better, to hold yourself to a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? And now I know at the end of the day, a lot of people that's watching this video will be like, man, he's speaking a white supremacist narrative. That's usually a tactic to make people who speaking the truth basically shut up. Well, I ain't one of them dudes. I ain't one of them dudes. I'm a watchman. I see issues within the culture. I see issues within the world. I'm supposed to talk about it. I'm supposed to bring that up. We supposed to ring the alarm, because if I don't, it's blood on my hands. But the truth is to that, when people say that, what they really mean is this. All things, or a lot of things that's been deemed as good and ethical or of a higher standard, got some sense of morality to it. A lot of these things have been associated with the white way of doing things. Not the right way, R-I-G-H-T, the white way, W-H-I-T-E. Things like speaking proper English, things like eating healthy, things like wearing your pants up on your waist. Looking presentable. Like a lot of these things have been deemed as the white way of doing things, when the truth is it has nothing to do with white or black. And a lot of things that are negative and unethical have been looked at as the black way of doing things. This is what y'all are saying when y'all say they're pushing a white supremacist narrative. He's trying to get us to act white. No. I'm holding you to a higher standard. That's what we're all supposed to do. It has nothing to do with white or black. It has everything to do with accountability. Holding ourselves, being held accountable, and holding ourselves accountable for the decisions that we make, being responsible for the decisions that we make. That's what it means to be black. You see, it ain't no color to that, because this applies to all colors. That's what it means to be black. That's what it means to be human, to hold yourself accountable, to be held accountable, to live in truth, to operate in truth. But the truth is, if we're not careful, we're going to let these white liberals tell us what it means to be black. And y'all remember when Joe Biden said this?
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
The truth is, people like him, they don't believe in holding us to a higher standard, like everybody else is held to a higher standard. They see us as people who can't do better because of our circumstances, because we're victims, because we're oppressed. And we not that. That ain't true. But that's how they see us, and they see us as us not being able to do better without them. How insulting is that, though? For real. And what's sad about it is when you get a white person that comes and holds to a higher standard or speaks truth, then they're labeled as a racist. And when you get a black person like me who comes along and speaks truth or holds my people to the higher standard that I know that they should be held at, because I know it's so much potential within people because they're made in the image of God, I'm called a coon. Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus, y'all know how all that go. But again, we sounding the alarm, bruh. We letting people know what it is. We watchmen. Because the potential that's within you is so much greater than the standards that we're allowing other people to hold us to. But it starts with us. We got to first look in the mirror and say, okay, How can I fix this? How can I fix my community? How can I hold myself accountable and others accountable? It starts with truth, because God, he's not a partial judge. He holds everybody by the same, he holds all people by the same standard. He shows no favoritism. And so when we get there on Judgment Day, he's going to ask you, what did you do with what I gave you? And he ain't trying to hear, oh, well, I was a victim and I'm oppressed. Jesus Christ freed us from that. He freed us from bondage. He freed us from that bondage and that slavery. Not talking about the physicals, I'm talking about the spiritual. He freed us from that. So we are without excuse, because it's the spiritual first. You live from the spiritual and the physical follows. That's why he freed us spiritually speaking. But man, I'm done. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Kingdom over culture. Kingdom over culture. We righteous. We're righteous. We righteously woke. We righteously woke. Be looking out for that shirt, because that's coming out next. Righteously woke. Kingdom over culture. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, share, comment. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace. I'm out.
Sweated to the truth, nothing but the truth. Put my hands on the Bible, y'all point me to the booth. Sweated to the truth.